All right, well, it's 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the First in the Family First Generation Student webinar. So today we'll be talking with a few of these lovely first gen students and mentors as a part of the student mentoring program. So what we'll do for today, if you attended last week's faculty webinar, it'll be pretty similar. Once we have the panelists introduce themselves, I'll ask a first question to get them going, but then if you have any questions that you want to hear from Mara, Matt, or Steve, you can just type it into the chat and I will moderate and read out your question in the order that they come in. And they'll get to answer all your awesome questions. So I'm going to have us begin just by having them go around and say their name, the year that they're at Carthage, their major, and maybe where you're from, just so that the people know where you're coming from. And then we'll jump off with the first question after that. So Mara, do you want to go first?
Yes. Hi, I'm Mara. I've been a part of the First and Family program since I was a freshman at Carthage, and I'm graduating this spring. So this May I'll be graduating. I'm a political science major with an international relations concentration and a Spanish minor, and I come from Zeeland, Michigan. So basically, if you swam across the Kenosha, you would hit my town.
Great. Matt, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a psych major. I'm junior. I'm becoming a junior. And I grew up in Lake County, Illinois. So like Grays Lake, Round Lake, that area. But now I live in Franksville, which is in like 30 minutes away from Carthage.
And Steve, go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Steve Machado. I was not a First in the Family mentor, but I was a First in the Family attendee when I was a freshman. My major is chemistry with a concentration in pharmacy, and my minor is in Spanish. And I live in Wheeling, Illinois, close to like Schaumburg, where Bob Chins is. Some people know where Bob Chins is. That's where I live. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So again, if you have a question as we're talking, please put it into the chat and I'll see that and make sure your question gets asked. So to start us off, why don't you each tell us a little bit about, your first gen experience at Carthage so far? So how's it been? What are some things that have been great about it? What were some things that were maybe challenging and what helped you through that? So we'll just go around and do that first.
I can go.
All right. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. So for me, my first gen experience, my mentor was actually in the psych program. So that was a huge help because I was able to talk to her. She told me about the professors. I was able to get to know them better. And we even actually ended up sharing classes later on. So having someone I already know in all these classes who was an upperclassman was a lot of help because they were able to teach me a lot of techniques and things that I might not have thought of research-wise. Then I also had, when you go into your gen eds, like such as religion, you're gonna have to take understandings of religion and stuff like that. You're gonna have this basis of people that you already know. And they're gonna be your age, they're gonna be just as confused as you are. And it'll be nice to just have someone when you walk into a class and be like, I know that one, and be able to sit next to them.
Sort of adding on to that. Basically everything that Matt said, I could agree on with that. For me, First in the Family, like I already had someone that was in the First in the Family that went to school with me, so I had her. But the First in the Family made me expand my horizons, you can say it. And like literally the first day, the First in the Family, I met another one of my friends that I'm still close friends with her, and we literally connected because we had one similarity or one thing in common, that we were first gen. So like that's honestly one thing that's right away good from the start. Like you guys are basically in the same field, like boat. Like you guys know that you guys are the first in your family. Like you guys don't know what's gonna come through, but you know that you're not alone. You have other people there with you, and you're always reminded that even though you think you're alone, you're not alone. So I think that's what I came out from First in the Family. That's what First in the Family showed me and gave me. Like it showed me that I am not alone through this scary next chapter of your life. Like people will be right behind you. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with both of them and what they said. And like, I remember I had religion with Steve, and I oh my gosh, I pulled up to a classroom and sat down and they started talking about Shakespeare. And I was like, this is not right. This is not right. And I like snapped at him. I was like, where are you? Where should I be? And just like those kind of things that you can have right away coming into a new experience is really fantastic. Like I'd been to Wisconsin once before in my entire life, and that was to tour Carthage's campus. But with First and Family, you are automatically put into this network of people, and you can choose to be friends with people in that network, or you can choose like, hey, these people are great. This is a good starting point, and then branching out from there. So it just gives you a solid starting foundation. And these are all people, all your mentors. Like we know a lot of the professors on campus. We know a lot of the spots around campus. We know what's going on the weekends. Like that sort of thing, like your mentors are here for you for that. Like you're not really going to ask your professor like, hey, where should I pull up to party? But we can be like, hey, here's a safe place you can go to have fun safely. Like that kind of thing. That's what your mentors are here for.
Okay, so do either of you or any of you have anything that was maybe super challenging or something that you felt was difficult when you were first getting started that that you experienced, and then what helped you sort of figure it out?
So for me, I went in declared major. You don't have to, like if you're undeclared, that's perfectly normal and fine. But I went in psych major, no minor. I had no idea what a major or a minor meant. And I was so scared to ask a professor like, hey, I know I'm like halfway through my first year of college, but what does a major mean? But I was able to ask the people I met in First in the Family. I was able to ask them because they were probably going through similar things, or like their parents didn't know. So I was able to be like, what's a minor? What is that going to help me with in the future? What would a major do? And that was just good to have someone my age or maybe an upperclassman that was more approachable.
Right. Yeah. Adding on to that, I literally that, like for me, it was that I had nobody to go to or to ask questions, like because none of my family members, like they didn't go to school, they didn't go to college, they didn't know what college like was, they didn't know what scholarships were, they didn't know what all that like loans were. So like having someone, like having faculty like right there, like right next to you, like Anna, like she's always there, she's always been there for me. Like you know that you have people that are going to be there for you with any questions that you might need. And like literally my first connections like with faculty was with Anna, with First in the Family. She was literally like the first faculty that like I actually like talked to and like sat down. Like she made me feel like I was supposed to be there for a reason. So yeah, so definitely that.
Yeah, I agree with those. Anna's fantastic. You can always go to her. She's great. And if she doesn't have an answer, she'll direct you to someone who does. So again, you have resources all around you if you choose to use them. But for me, I don't like to go places alone and do things alone. Like if I'm going to the caf to eat, or if I'm going to like a football game, I want to go with people. And that was something I was really anxious about because people scare me sometimes. I'm like, I don't know how to make friends. I'm awkward, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. But with First and Family, I had these people that I could say, hey, do you want to go to the football game this Saturday? Hey, are you tailgating? Hey, are you hungry? Do you need to grab some lunch? And then you have this community of people to go with, so you never have to go anywhere alone if you don't want to.
Awesome. So we have a question from Alyssa, and she asked, was there anything about college you thought you knew but changed when you got there?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Rooming.
I thought I understood college workload. Like I thought, okay, all I'm going to do is study. That's all I have time for. I'm never going to be able to do anything fun because like that, in the movies I'd seen of college, it was either everyone was partying all the time or everyone was studying all the time. There's no in between. And when I came to Carthage, I learned that you can have a balance of your social life and your academic life while still maintaining good grades. And even with a heavy course schedule, that you can have that balance. It doesn't need to be just one or the other.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it was that too. The workload. I knew that going to college was obviously going to have more of a workload. It was going to be more increased, but like how Mara thought, like I thought that I was gonna be in my room at like all day, like 24/7, just working on homework, studying, and everything. And for the most part, that is true. It also depends on your major. Like for me, I'm a chem major, so I have to do lab reports. I have to do many things. So like, yes, I am busy for the majority of my time studying, but I also have enough time to go out with friends, to go eat with them, to go watch a football game. Like I'm in a fraternity, so like if I have enough time to do that, then you can have enough time as long as you have time management. Like that's like one thing that you need to know, and how to like get better at with managing your time, because it is very important in college.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing was I thought rooming was going to be very different. I thought I was going to have like this person, I need to become their best friend, and everyone around me, I need to become best friends with everyone, because it's going to be terrifying if I don't know them. And you'll grow to generally, sometimes you don't, but you'll grow to like your roommate. And if you don't, there's always ways to fix it and change. And your your RAs, I almost forgot the acronym. Your RAs are always there to help you with any situation. So it's nowhere near as frightening as I thought it was going to be.
Thank you. We have another question from Lucinda, and they ask, how did you go about becoming more a part of life on campus if you hadn't known people going in? How do you become a part of clubs and organizations if you have no one to sort of go through that process with you?
The organization fair. We have a big thing at Carthage where basically all the organizations will set up little stands. One day it was in the gym, or 1 year was in the gym. We've had it in other locations, I think, before. Campus Drive. But they'll set up a bunch of stands, every club, and you could just walk down. You could talk to all the people who are in there. They'll tell you about it. You can give them your email. It's not a commitment. You're not officially signing up for it. So if you see something that's interesting, you can give them your email, get more information on it, and then see if you want to join.
Adding on to that as well, let's say you go by yourself because you have nobody to go with. Like as soon as you're there, you're gonna find someone, and you're just gonna find like a group of people or someone that you already saw or said hi to. Like you're gonna just go to them and like start a new friendship and all that. And then that's just like how it's gonna start. Like, and like how he was saying, there's many organizations that are there. Like we're all gonna be like, oh come, like we want you to join the organizations that we have, because like that's how you truly develop a campus life. Like if the more groups and all that, the more people the more connections you have. So like the more your life at college is going to be. So it just depends on how you interact with the others and other organizations. But
yeah, and it's important to think like this boat that you're in right now, nervous, not knowing anyone, not knowing how to join. Everyone else is in that same boat. Everyone else is just as nervous. So if you want to be like, hey, how are you? You look alone. Come walk with me. That's great, because everyone wants that. So for Org Fair, we do have that. That's in places on campus, emails, non-committal. And then we also have a really strong Greek life presence on campus. So for our fraternities and sororities, we have Rush Week that culminates in bid night. And then from there, you would join your sorority or fraternity. I'm not in a sorority, but I live on a sorority floor. And then I know Steve is a Don. So that's another method that you could consider getting involved in Greek life, because then our Greek life hosts events on campus as well, and fundraisers that aren't always just for Greek life. They can be for everyone, and it just creates a lot of community.
And there's not like every club isn't as like committed as Greek life, or if you join something like the Residential Life Council, where it's going to be a lot of work, but it's always worth it. You can join clubs like Tea Club or the Pokemon Club, and they'll like you'll just go together and drink tea some days, and you could just drop in whenever you want. And it's stuff like that where you could just have fun with a small group of people, drop in, drop out, and it's not really as serious. So if you're just looking for something like that, those are also available.
They're all great suggestions. I think this year, I'm not sure what their plan is for the org fair. It'll most likely be outside if they do something big. Otherwise, there might be a virtual org fair with depending on how they set it up. So just keep your eyes out for like things through orientation. They'll typically tell you what events are happening during that welcome week. Like once orientation is over, you have your first week of classes, and there's typically a lot of communication about events that are going on or things you can attend, whether that ends up being virtual or in person. So another question that I wanted to ask you all, last week there was a lot of questions that came through about sort of like family expectations and support from your family. So if you all want to share a little bit about sort of, how was it, you're in college, your families maybe don't have a lot of background or info about what that really means. And how did you sort of navigate the whole process, coming home to your families and working through those situations?
I don't know. For me, when I came home, I had to adjust my behavior and my attitude because I'm used to being on campus where I do whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't need to ask anyone permission to do anything. I'm just doing it around my schedule. And then coming home, my parents weren't like, you need to ask permission to do this, but they were like, can you let us know where you're going and if you have an idea of when you'll be home and that kind of thing. So that was an adjustment. And then just cueing my family in like, hey, this is what's happening on campus and this is what this means. So I have gen eds. This is what a gen ed is. And just that sort of explanatory process and the fact that they were really willing to learn with me and to hear about it. And they were excited for me because they are your parents and they do love you. And they want you to succeed and be happy and do your best, even if they're not sure exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, I think that attitude adjustment thing is a big one. When you come home, it's going to be, your parents are going to notice a difference and it's not going to be bad. Your parents are going to be like, oh, how dare you act like that? Depending on your parents. I don't know your parents, but generally they're going to be pretty supportive. And as long as you explain college life, I know a lot of parents are like, they may not know how college works, but they are going to love hearing you explain it. And explaining it to someone else might help you better comprehend and understand everything.
Yeah, sort of adding to both of like what Mara and Matt were saying, like like your life is basically like you're starting a whole new chapter of your life. So you're like finally like learning and developing who you want to be as a person. So like your life, your Carthage, what I call my like college life is totally different than my home life because here like I have act different than over there because Mara was saying I have freedom over there. Like I don't have to listen to anybody. I can do what I want. But here, once I'm here, like I know that it's still my mom's, like my parents' house. Like it's their house. Like I have to like behave like that. So it is very, it's not, I wouldn't say difficult, but at the same time difficult just to understand how like the transition that you're going into. And well, I was gonna say something else. What else was I gonna say? And I think that's it. Oh no, and with their family, like yeah, like how my family, like, they don't know anything about college. Like both my mom and dad. Like every time that I would come here, they would ask, "Oh, how's school?" And I would tell them like, "Oh, these are the classes that I'm taking. This is what I'm doing." And, like they're like looking at everything that I'm taking. So like your family, well, might not understand what you're talking about because you're the only one that's majoring in that. But they're satisfied. Like they want to know that you're learning and they know that you're doing more for yourself that they couldn't. So like they're gonna want to hear your stories basically. Like they just want to hear, they want to see it in your eyes. Like they want to make sure that you're doing what they couldn't have done, but what they wish they would have done. So like just keep them informed, even though if you don't think they want to be informed, just keep them informed in the loops.
Yeah.
And I think, sorry,
No.
go on.
Okay. They're probably going to be confused as to why you only have 4 classes. They're going to be like, what? We're paying all this money. Yeah. You're paying all this money. Why are you not in class all the time? And just letting them know that that's normal is something you really got to get out of the way to start with, and then.
That's true.
And I think kind of going in like, how often should you call your parents? How often should you visit home? That's definitely dependent on your personal situation. Some parents are going to want you to text them every day, call them every week, whatever. And you got to set boundaries. You can't be smothered by your parents. This is your time to start being free. But obviously, if you want to call them, you call them. And as for going home and visiting, that's definitely dependent on how far you live. Like I live 30 minutes away, so I go home and visit decently often.
Great. So another question. This is circling back to time management. What are some tips you may have to improve? Or if you find yourself procrastinating, what did you personally do to better those habits?
Okay, well, I think I'll start with this one. I definitely highly recommend a planner. me in high school, I didn't like they made us use planners, but I never used it. I never found the use of it. It's a planner, you know. But now that it's like your college planner is going to be different because you're literally going to put everything in your life. That's what's happening in your life in that planner. Your high school planner, you were only going to put like the classes that you needed to take and all that. But in this one, like you take like, okay, I have an appointment at this time. Like I have to meet up with this one. I have to take lunch with that. Like I have a group meeting with that. Like so, like you need to make sure that you have everything somewhat organized, somewhat knowing what's the next step, like what's okay after this hour, what I have to do the next hour, and like a lot, I don't know, like a lot of people, for me personally, it's never worked like the ones where you do like the by hour management time, like when okay I have this hour and then I'm going to do this. For me, it doesn't work like for me, I just feel like I have to do a certain amount and then I'll be good. But like it just depends on how you how like you can manage your own time basically, because there are many different ways to like manage it, but it just depends on which is better for you. Like for me, the assignment notebook, it just the planner, it works because I have like the full week, the full month. I know what I have to do, I know what to focus on. So that's like something that I highly recommend, getting a planner. As far as procrastinating, I mean, you're gonna procrastinate once in college, even if you don't like it. It's just gonna happen. But just try to avoid it. Try to limit as much as it is, because it's all gonna come back to you. Like you had an assignment that was due in 2 months. All of a sudden, in that 2 months, you have other assignments that your other classes gave you. So now you're stuck with 4 assignments, let's say. So you just need to know that if you keep procrastinating, if you keep leaving it behind, I'll do it the next day. Like it's gonna add up, and then it's gonna be worse for you. Like, so it really focus on that. Yeah.
You'll only do it once. You'll only procrastinate that one time. But that planner, 100, I already have my planner bought for this year.
Me too.
Like, yeah, I have it bought and I have my classes written in it already.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, and day one of your classes, you're going to get a syllabus from your professor. They'll probably email it because we have online classes to start. In your syllabus, it tells you the due dates for your big projects. Write those down somewhere. You will not go back and look at your syllabus as much as you think you need to. Write those due dates down and know, okay, I can procrastinate this for a month and a half, but I'm going to have this and 2 other projects from 2 other classes due at the same time. So like that's something that you have to keep in mind for yourself. And sometimes having a study group helps as well. I know that's something that helps me with accountability is I'm having this study group with my friends. I'm not going to just be a little leech and just be like, oh, what did you learn? What did you read? Like I have to do my own reading to prepare for that.
The study group thing is definitely what helped me the most. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, I have this beautiful planner and everything's perfect, because I don't.
We got these.
I got a virtual one. I don't like writing things down because my handwriting gets sloppy and then I get irritated. So if you're like me, use a virtual planner like Google Calendar or something. That is helpful. And especially as you start joining clubs, you're going to want that down. But as for homework assignments, study groups is number one. Get to know people in your class, get to know people, especially in your major. And if you need help with anything, you can ask for help, you can work on it together. And most professors will not mind if you work in groups on assignments, as long as you're all working together and not just cheating off of one person.
Yeah. I do like at the end of some of my, like after the first couple classes, so that you know everyone's name and it's not super weird. I'll be like, hey guys, I am leaving this sheet up by the front of the room. Write your email down if you're interested in joining a Google Doc. And then for each class I'm in, we have one comprehensive Google Doc that 20 people have put notes in. And so you all know what's happening. If you miss a day of class, you can review that document. So just be proactive. Like as much as it might be terrifying, just be like, hey, write your email down. We're going to make a group. And then you'll learn that way who is working, who is not going to work, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Adding to that, like study groups, I highly recommend. Like it doesn't matter what major you're in, like you're gonna need a group of people like to study with, because yes, you can study by yourself. I also agree with like studying by yourself, but there's gonna be times where you need to study with a group because they might know more things that you don't know or that you don't think that you don't need to know, but like yeah, you need to know this. So like it's like sort of like a backbone, like that you have people to rely on, and they're going through the same classes, so they're going through the same emotions that you're feeling. Like yes, we're all tired, but we have to keep going. Like there's some encouragements that you get between like the groups that you have. Like I have a study group like last semester for all my classes. I had like 5 classes, I think. I had study groups for all of them, and like for all of them, like I had 2 separate study groups, and then we would have a huge study group. Like study groups are going to be like your best friends. Like you're going to want them. And like I don't know. Yeah, we just highly recommend study groups.
Great suggestions.
Yeah.
So another thing that came up a couple times on the faculty panel were questions about finances and paying for school. And if you do have a job, you know, maybe talk a little bit about that and how you've managed to work and keep up with your classes and some of that. I think that goes into time management too. So just concerns about, you know, if it's not covered by your financial aid, what are some things that you've been able to do and how do you manage that?
I would say like one of the better options is on-campus jobs if you can get one, just because they are so flexible with your schedule and they will help a lot. Yeah. They'll help a lot with everything. And it's not like, oh, I'm doing an on-campus job. That's weird because I see students and they see me working. It's not awkward. Like people will be friendly to you.
No, yeah. I worked in that. Like, there's a bunch of jobs that you can get on campus, and there's like a bunch of jobs that you don't think exist, but like you end up liking. Like for me, I was like a delivery. I was like the mailman delivery, so I would deliver all the student packages to the mailroom, and like I thought I was gonna hate it, but I generally loved it. Like the staff that's there, like you just get a bunch of connections working on campus because you start meeting faculty and everything like that. And me personally delivering some of the mail to them, like that's how I started building a relationship. So I was getting paid, and on top of that, I was building connections, and I was doing like enjoying the time while I was having with the faculty that there was there. Like I generally have good connections with them because of that. So definitely recommend doing a work study if you can, or just working in general. I also do work during the school. I work every other weekend. I try to work every other weekend at my pharmacy. I work in a pharmacy right now, and I come back home. I'm 30 minutes away, so that's what I do every other weekend. So that's what with going back with time management. That's why I need a planner personally, because it gives me the full month of view of what I like when I have to leave school so I can get to my house so I can start working on that time, and when I have to leave back home so I can go back on campus, get the shuttle. Like it's like it's once I think it's harder to just like describe what to do, or like how to manage your time when I like you need to be there, so you need to actually see like what's going on, because I don't know what you do in your life. So like you need to think about like the certain things that you need to have or you need to do, and then you need to start putting them in like perspective. Like, okay, well, how am I going to manage my time? Like, how am I going to do it so it's easier for me? And like you can do like some trial and errors. Like some of them might work, some of them might not. So like it's just really up to you. Like I think it's like you have to do it like one time so that you can know like how to truly like figure it out. Like I know, yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
I get that. So I work 2 jobs on campus. I'm a lifeguard and swim instructor. I work generally 10 to 15 hours a week at that job. I also work at Einstein Bagels. It's right by the library. You'll see it. It smells great. It's very edible food on campus. And I work there 7 to 10 hours a week. This semester, I will be taking 18 credits as well as writing my thesis. So for me, my work is going to go down a little bit. But in this past semester, I only had 13 credits, and I could work a 30-hour week and still manage my classes. For me, that's really great. That's something I need, because although I do have financial aid, I am paying for my own college entirely by myself out of pocket. So what I've been able to do is I spend 50% of what I earn, I pay directly on the principal of my loan. You don't need to pay your loans while you're in school. You don't need to pay them for 6 months after you graduate. But what I do is pay on the principal of my loan. So I have a lower principal when I graduate. 50% of my income goes there. Of the remaining 50%, 5% I leave out, and I can spend that however I want. If I'm trying to go get ice cream or a new tattoo, that's what I use that 5% for. And the other 45% goes into savings for me. So that's something that I've worked out on campus. So I'm paying some of my loans, I'm working, and I have still some money for myself.
That's awesome. So Alyssa asked right along these same lines, when would you recommend getting a job? Any thoughts on that?
It definitely depends on your financial situation. There's a mosquito. Sorry. If you are in a situation where you are not paying for your college and you either have enough financial aid to where your parents are able to pay for it, or they're paying for it in full, and you are good enough to where you don't need that, I would not recommend getting a job right away. I think get your feet in the door, work on relax on campus, figure out where everything is, how to do everything, and then as you feel more comfortable, as you learn time management, then pick up a job. If you need a job right away, it's not scary. They will help you, and they will make sure that you're okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, I had savings that rolled over from my summer. I planned for that. I said, okay, I need $200. I'm going to bring that with me to campus. And that way, when I got to campus, it was totally new environment with totally new people. That was totally terrifying. I took a month and I figured out my classes. I figured out what does my schedule look like. And when you're on campus, you really don't need money right away. You do have a meal plan. You're really not needing to spend any of your own money. But I like to buy things, which is the problem, but it's fine. And so for me, that was how the timing worked out. And there will always be this big hiring push when we all come back to campus. And even after that, there will still be jobs for you. Food service is always hiring. I don't remember who our director is right now, but you can go on the website, find the director of food services, send her an email and say, hey, do you have any openings? And for me, they responded in 18 hours. Yes, we do. And for lifeguarding, I did that as well. I emailed in the summer and said, hey, do you have any openings for any lifeguard or WSI? And that De La Roseby, who's our aquatics director, was like, yes, we do. Please come work. And so then I had jobs lined up when I came back onto campus. And for jobs you do stay employed over the summer. Like when you come back on campus, you can continue working your job.
Yeah. For me, I did sort of what Mara did as well. I saved up for like during the summer for like last month. Like I just saved up everything, and then I went to school and I didn't work because I wanted to, like Matt also said, I wanted to start getting my foot in the door. Like I wanted to start transitioning into the college life. And then once I was ready, like I decided to apply for a job. And another thing that Carthage does is that let's say that they don't have the job for you, like they can't hire you, but they do send your application to other places that they think might want you. And that's what happened with me. I applied at the TWC Center to like answer phone calls, but they couldn't hire me. So that's when they sent me to the mailroom. So like that's when I did that. That's how I got that job. So it doesn't matter. Like even if you don't think you're gonna get the job, just still apply because they might have connections that they might let you open another door to get a job. So it also just depends when you feel comfortable getting a job. Let's say you just want to get a job because you for the fun of it, then you can just get a job as well. It's up to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a job because you need financial. Like if you're bored on campus and you want something to do, get a little extra money, then I recommend getting a job because it doesn't hurt at all.
Great. So another topic that was big last week were mentors, which we know you all are going to be mentors, but talked a lot about faculty mentors and getting connected to faculty on campus. So what tips might you have for the incoming students to start to build those faculty connections that'll be really beneficial as they go through their time at Carthage?
So my big thing is, I don't know exactly how most departments work, but with the psych department, you get one of your classes for your majors. You'll generally get them your first year. So if you're a bio major, you'll get intro to bio. If you're whatever, you'll get intro. And know that professor and go to their office hours and ask them, who are some other professors in this department? And they will be so excited at how you're like, you want to learn already? You're just a freshman. And they'll like, for me, they literally invited like 6 professors into the room and they're like, he wants to already meet everyone. So they will totally help you with all that networking and figuring out who everyone is. They will introduce you, and all the professors on our campus are very willing to help you learn and discuss. And oh, my PC is dying. And told you what happened. And they're willing to talk with you.
Yeah, adding to that, definitely go to their office hours. Every professor wants you to go to their office hours. They're there to help you, and when nobody goes there, they're like, so why am I here? You know, like I know, so you might think that all these, like, I keep asking questions, like they're gonna get annoyed with me. That's exactly the opposite. The more questions you ask, the more they know that you want to keep learning, because like they're there to teach. To teach you, basically. They want to teach what they know, like towards us, so like we can keep going with their knowledge. So like they're always going to be there for you. Never think any like the opposite. Like they're always going to be there. They're always going to be there to ask questions. Like I genuinely like know all of the chemistry department professors. I know all of them. Like I talk to them. Like I email them when I have questions, and they email me right away. Like I think like if you don't be scared of trying to build a connection, because all the teachers there want to build a connection with everybody, and like they're there because they want to be. It's not just because they're getting paid. It's because they want to be there and they want to teach us. Like during the pandemic, when all this was happening, like most of my professors, every time we connected, like, oh my God, I missed you guys so much. I miss you guys. Like I miss seeing you guys and all that. Like it's like a really good thing to have, like with a connection with faculty. So I really recommend like not just by starting off with just one, like say hi and then start building a relationship with them, and then sort of like following them so when they go to other offices, so like you can start building other connections and relationships with teachers, because that's one thing that you highly want in school.
Yeah. I know in high school for me, like it was always so bad to be considered like a suck up or like the teacher's buddy, like that type of thing was always considered so bad and you should never do that. In college, it's so much the opposite. You should be talking to your professors. You should be emailing them outside of your class. You should be going to office hours. So I had a wonderful religion professor, Michelle Ike. She still sends me gifts daily on Pokemon Go. I have her phone number. I have met her for coffee, and sometimes we've talked about religion. Sometimes we've been like, I'm so stressed right now. I'm going to cry. I don't know what and your professors are there for that too. And I'm in the political science department, which is a little bit smaller. We have like 6 professors, and I know all of them. They all know me. They're all wonderful. Like Jeffrey Roberg, he is my main squeeze. Adore him and talk to him about everything. Show up at his office hours. He's probably like, Mara, you don't need to know any more about my cast. And I go, yes, I do, because creating those relationships will then help you outside of college as well. So in your professional life, all these professors know people. All these professors can say, hey, I have this wonderful student looking for an internship. So I know that Roberg has given me internship opportunities prior to giving them to other students because I came to his office and I expressed that interest. So it is up to you to be proactive. Your college experience is determined by how you act and how much effort you choose to put in.
Great advice. So what's something that you wish you're all, you're going to be juniors, you're going to be graduating. So what's something that you would have told yourself before starting college that you wish you knew that you didn't and now you do?
There isn't one right way to do this. You will see your peers some of them are going to get internships their second semester of their sophomore year. Some of them are going to have no internships and then graduate and get hired on the spot. Some of them are going to be working in the fields they're studying, and some of them are going to be working in retail because they just need to make ends meet. And it's a waste of your time to compare yourself to what other people are doing and how other people are doing. They are not you. You are not them, and the time, energy, and anxiety that you spend comparing yourself to them is time and energy that you could have been spending working a little bit more on that paper, talking to your friends just a little bit longer, that sort of thing. So there isn't one right way to do this. There's definitely some wrong ways. You can do it wrong, but there's no one right way.
My point kind of goes back to what Mara was saying earlier, where being like a teacher's pet is okay. Don't be nervous or shy if a teacher points you out in class as a good example. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to be pointed out, so I don't want to do too much, because I fell into that at my first semester where the teacher would point me out sometimes. I answered questions a lot and they're like, you're doing a good job. And it makes me feel like, oh, everyone thinks I'm doing too much. Everyone's going to be mad at me. No one cares. First of all, if they're not answering the question, they're happy you answered it. And second of all, you're getting a great relationship with that professor, and you'll get other kids in that class wanting to talk to you and wanting to get help with assignments, and later they'll be able to help you just as much. So don't be afraid to stand out in class, as long as it's in a good way. Don't stand out by being bad.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I would have told myself too. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions, because I was always afraid to ask questions. I thought that everybody's gonna laugh at me in high school. But here in Carthage, I'm always asking questions. I'm always the one answering, because that's something that you need to do in order to. You're there to learn, and if you want to ask a question and you're not getting it answered because you're too afraid, then what are you there for? You're there for that exactly reason, to learn. So keep learning, keep expanding your horizon. Never let yourself stop learning, because you're always going to be learning there. So that's something that I wish I would have told myself. Thankfully, I do that now. Like, I always ask, but I wish I would have started even sooner, because then I could have done even more things by now. You know what I mean? So definitely that. And then I also definitely join the organizations. Don't be too afraid to join just because you think that you don't belong in that group. To just try it out, and if you truly don't like it, then you don't like it. Like, honestly, join organizations or clubs or whatever you want to join, like, just so you can meet people, because that's the main way that you're going to increase your connections with people, and that's how you're going to make your college life the best you can make it. So definitely recommend that too.
Yes, and drink more water than you think you need to.
Oh, yeah.
And wash your laundry. Do it. Wash your sheets too. You have to. It's required.
Please, the rooms are not that big.
Yeah, clean your room a lot. Especially if your roommate's messy, don't be like starting arguments about it. Just clean your room.
Clean your side.
Clean your side. If you need to just clean your side, your roommate's horribly messy, just clean your side. Just do your thing. Because if you don't have a clean space, one, you're going to be stressed, and two, no one's going to want to go to your dorm room.
That's definitely true.
Words of wisdom. Such words of wisdom. So I maybe just have one more question or two before we wrap up. Oh, and one just came through from someone, so we'll go with that. Did any of you go in undecided or go in feeling confident about one major, but then decided it was no longer for you? And then if or when you made those changes, sorry, I've just got to read this. When did you make those changes, or up until when was that something? Oh, okay. So did you go in undecided? Did you go in, change your major? And then when, like, up until what point can you make those changes to your programs of study?
If you're undecided, you can do gen eds for the first full 2 years of your school if you want. You can do your gen ed credits, your religion, your heritage, your writing intensive classes. You can do those for the first 2 years if you're still not sure. You will probably be sure by the end of your first semester. Our staff and faculty are really, really good at helping you. I changed my minors around a lot. My major stayed the same, but I would say that if you don't have that choice made, or if you want to switch, I would do it before you put in 3 years of work for one thing. But start with your gen eds if you don't know. That's totally fine. That's a totally okay thing to do. And not knowing is totally okay too. For me, I thought, what problem do I see in the world that I feel passionate about? For me, it was human trafficking. That deeply disturbs me, makes me uncomfortable. And then I said, okay, what can I learn about? What can I study to change it? Political science. So I worked backwards. I didn't think, this is political science. What do I do with it? I thought, what do I want to do? And then how do I do that?
That is a very good tip. And actually, the exact reason I went into psych was also human trafficking. Just opposite end of it, helping them after. But my big thing was I never switched my major. I went in, psych declared, I knew what I wanted to do there. But my minor was my big thing. And I didn't know if I wanted a minor, if I had a minor, like, do I need it? What should I pick? And the biggest thing that helped was just talking to all the faculty members, especially like in lanes that you're interested in. So if you're interested in bio, possibly a religion thing, you can find faculty members, even if you've never had a class with them, just look them up on the school's website, be like, oh, they're the head of this department, and shoot them an email, and they will be happy to discuss what they do there with you.
And if you're not sure about what a major is, like for political science, we have 5 different disciplines. So political science, and then there's 5 disciplines. And maybe you don't know, what is international relations? Is that just talking with Canada and saying, this is what we're going to do this year? No, it isn't. And that's a learning process. Or public policy. Is that just making laws, or is that a precursor to law school? Like that kind of thing. So if you don't know, ask. And if you're not sure, ask some more. They will connect you with professionals in the field. They will talk to you about their professional experiences. Almost all of our professors have worked in the field that they are teaching in. So ask the questions that you need. Ask about things you're interested in. And ask students too. Like I love to talk about my major because I love it. And everyone else in their major loves to talk about theirs as well.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to go to Bradley to study law enforcement, and then I decided to go into pharmacy, but I was still thinking about Carthage. So then when I emailed Carthage about changing possibly from law enforcement to pharmacy or chemistry, right away they answered with, yes, of course, like, we'll do this, we'll help you, like, this is everything that we'll do. And then when Bradley responded, like, they made them seem like they didn't really care. So that's right from the start, that's when I switched to Carthage. Like, that's when I was going to switch into chemistry, and I was really like into like law enforcement. That was my major. Like I always talked about it. And so switching it out of nowhere, out of the thin air, and all of a sudden Carthage giving me so many, like, okay, this is the class you're going to take, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do for the rest of the summer. Like all the information that they gave me like made me more comfortable in feeling that, okay, it's okay to switch majors. Like I never thought I was going to switch a major, and then now it's chemistry when it was law enforcement. So if you want to switch majors, if you are thinking about it and you're just scared, don't be as scared as you make yourself feel, because there are a bunch of people that are going to help you figure out the right major for you. Like how Mara was saying, they might put you in gen eds first because they want to make sure that you don't waste your own time taking classes that you don't need when you might need to switch your major. Like, that's just unnecessary for you to do, and that's why the faculty at Carthage is so great about that, because they will make sure that you feel confident after leaving the office, knowing what you're going to take, what you're going to do to go to those steps. So yeah, so definitely Carthage College is great faculty.
And don't be afraid to experiment with classes. We
Right,
do
yeah.
have like requirements for classes that this isn't your major, but you're required to take a certain amount of classes. Go ahead and take those. If a class sounds interesting, go ahead and take it. And don't be afraid, like, oh, I don't want to study that area, but I just want to learn a little bit. Take the intro course, talk to the professor, get the help you need. You'll be able to do it. And you might find something that you enjoy more than what you're currently studying.
Yeah.
No,
I took
definitely.
my J terms. I had a J term requirement that I needed to fulfill for fine arts, and I had done choir and stuff, and that was technically fulfilling it. So I needed some more credits. I took ceramics. I have never made a pot in my life, much less a tile. I've never touched clay. Actually, no, in 8th grade, I made an exploding clay project accidentally once. And this is a class that was so totally on the periphery of my vision. And I thought, no, I don't need this class. I took it. I loved it. I go down to the ceramics lab often now and make tiles. So just keep trying out new things.
Right, yeah.
Don't explode anything.
Definitely.
So yes, just to echo everything that these awesome students are saying, there's the general education at Carthage is really nice in a way, but it's broad. And so even, if you are undeclared and you're trying to decide what you want to do, you're going to take fine arts, you're going to take natural science, you're going to take social science, you're going to take humanities, you're going to have to take courses in those different areas. And so you can sort of choose within your options things that may sound interesting to you and allow you to explore different areas while you're still fulfilling requirements. And then if you come in and you thought you were 100% going to be, pre-med and you're going to go be a doctor, and then you take a couple bio and chem courses and you realize you don't love it and you want something else, that's okay. Maybe you've never taken a college course in those areas before, potentially. And it's okay to try something else. And you know what? Those bio and chems probably fulfilled your gen eds for natural science. So it's not a big deal. And so you can change your major. Like Mara said, there's a lot of gen eds that you can fill up in those first 2 years. You just want to be careful that if you're looking into programs that are more prescriptive or have certain timing that you need to take certain classes, that you don't start those too late, because you don't want to end up delaying your graduation past 4 years. So that's why you talk to your faculty advisor, you talk to your student success advisor, and you work with the Aspire Center with your career specialist. Those are going to be your 3 people outside of your other classes that are going to be your support team. And do degree plans. This is the advisor and me talking. You just do a degree plan. If you want to change your major, plan it out and make sure that it fits within your timeline so that you don't have any surprises. And that's built into your experience in your first year, is working on a degree plan and then trying to, kind of follow that and adjust it as you go. So
do the degree plan. I never did it, so do it.
That.
I was supposed to, but
Yeah, no,
it's a lot of help.
Robert printed out these papers that said, okay, these are the categories of classes you need to take: 2 in this, 1 in this, 3 in this. And I saw the classes that we had. I saw what I needed to take. I still have it with me. Like, I still use it to this day from my first freshman semester. I'm like looking, okay, this is what I've done. Check, check, check. I have to check off these boxes. And then when you have to schedule your own classes past first semester, that is something that will help you. It will not be fantastic if you go into scheduling your classes and you just had a 10-minute meeting with your advisor and you're like, yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing. And then you start trying to schedule and you end up with 2 classes from a major that isn't your major, 0 gen eds, and 1 random sports one or something. Like, that won't be great.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And you'll also have a degree audit, is what they call it, on your My Carthage account. And that'll basically tell you everything that you need to graduate. And it'll give you a little check mark after you do it. It'll show you your grade, everything. So just keep a close eye on that. Look at that if you ever need to check what classes you need and plan out your future. Don't do what I did. Because then you'll panic last minute.
So I'm just we'll give it a few minutes, see if any other last questions come through. But as we wait for that, why don't you each just, like, what's been your favorite thing about Carthage? Favorite class or favorite experience, or just, what do you love? What do you love about being at Carthage?
A lot of things. No, honestly, I do. I feel like honestly one of the top three. I'll do top three. The faculty. I love Susie Stevenson. I love all my like chemistry professors. Literally love them to death. And then the friends, the lifestyle that you live. I love that part. That it's just like when I go there, it's like my life that I'm living, and those are my friends, like the people that I'm gonna grow up with too. Like they say, like the friends in college are gonna last for like forever. Like I never believed in that, but I honestly do believe that now. And the fraternity, just my brothers. Love the organizations.
Yeah, I adore my professors. Like, they are by far the best part of Carthage. They're so wonderful, and they're all so unique and different. Like, Kirkland is one of mine, and he seems crazy. He's brilliant. He's so smart. His philosophical knowledge is intense. And then Roberg, who is a captain and a baron, like, who even knows that? And Michelle Ike, who is a mom and who has traveled all over the world and just teaches us about religion. All those professors are so, so different and diverse, and you will find something new with each professor you talk to. I really like, I went through 3 roommates before I found the roommate that I'm living with again. So the first 3 didn't work out. Some of them had other friends on campus. Like, some of them were getting single rooms. Like, it just wasn't working. And then I found a roommate that worked for me. We get along so fantastically. We're really good friends. I'm rooming with her again this year. Like, so that's another thing, is figuring out your living situation, who you want to live with. It's okay to change roommates. They won't hate you. And then thirdly, campus is so pretty. It's on a lake. Like, what is prettier than that? You wake the sunrise over the lake for your 8 a.m. Gorgeous. Starbucks. Wonderful. That's not part of the lake, but yeah. So
one thing is your Starbucks. That's gonna be your number one best friend when you're studying for finals. Trust me, it is.
Just make sure you go early, because that line will be crazy.
It's long. You will not have time between classes. You think you do, you don't.
You don't. Even if you have like a 20-minute break, no, you get out early.
You're still gonna be 5 minutes late.
But I would say my number one would have to be my professors. Oh my God, the professors at this school, I know Mara already said it, but they are amazing. I have one, her name is Dr. Salaska. She brings her dog in whenever we have quizzes to like boost morale, stuff like that. You get professors who will do fun little things like that, and each one will help.
Oh, his died. I think his computer died.
It did. He said it was at 25%. To his phone.
Yeah. So, okay. So while Matt tries to get back in, we had a couple of questions come through. Have either of you had to ever apply for extended stay in the residence halls?
I have not, but I know some of my brothers are doing that, and I think that all you have to, it's not a hard procedure. It's like really fast. I think you just have to email the directors of the dorms and all that, student life, and then they send you a form of like how long you need to stay or something like that. And then when everybody else leaves, they put a form on your door saying do not enter, someone is staying here till these days. So I don't necessarily know personally firsthand how like what happens, but I know that it is a fairly simple procedure to do that if you need to do that.
It is. He's right. You can either email the director, or you can go down to, is it Res Life? I think it's the Res Life office in the tower, and they have forms there. You fill out a form, and then you give it to them, and they say, okay, you can stay here. So I've needed to stay longer past checkout time. If you don't fill out that form, you're paying $75 because you're still in your room and your key isn't turned up. Like, fill out that form. And then your extended stay is also super easy. Same form. You just say, I can't go home because maybe you have an unstable home life. Maybe you're an international student. Maybe you're working on campus. You can do all of that. And then Carthage does also offer work programs through the summer. I think it's like $700 you stay, or $1,000 something bucks, and then you stay on campus during the summer and you work on campus. So those are also programs.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. And then last question, do any of you have computer recommendations? What worked best for you?
Well, it all depends. For me, it depends on your major. Like for chemistry, like I have a laptop, I have a touch bar, but I'm thinking of getting an iPad because I write more, like I draw more things, like I draw like squares and like rectangles and all that, like all those lines and everything. So I feel like it's more difficult for me to sometimes use a computer to take notes. Sometimes I handwrite them, but I'm thinking that sometimes like it just depends on the notes that you're taking, what classes you're taking, and what works best for you. Like I love my touch bar as well. Like don't get me wrong, I love it because it connects to my watch, my phone, so I can have everything connected in one system. But and it types fast, but like it just depends on what you feel is more comfortable for you, for like what's more comfortable in taking notes and having everything in one like laptop. Like if you know that you don't like HP, like I know I don't like HP, so I'm gonna get away from those and I'm gonna focus on the ones that I do like Apple. So like I'm gonna focus on that. So start by focusing on which brand you like and feel more comfortable and know, and then look into the details. Like, do I need this much space? Am I gonna need this for notes? Like, do I need a touch bar so like I can write and draw? Do I need like it just depends on what your major is basically and what you do in your life to do that.
I'm so sorry, my laptop died
That's okay.
We're talking about
on my phone.
computers. Yeah. I use a MacBook primarily. I'm typing papers. I typed 20 pages of paper in a week last semester, so that is what works for me. One of my friends uses a touchpad because she likes to write her notes down. And then if you're in a math or science, so like GIS, that's geographical information based type things, and math majors, you're going to want a laptop with a really high processing power because you're going to be running programs that are more demanding of your computer. I'm not running those programs. I'm watching videos, watching a lot of Netflix, and typing papers. So for me, a MacBook works good.
Yeah, it just depends on what works best for you, basically.
Yes, so I'll let Matt finish his thought. The only thing I've heard is that, like, I guess with Psych or maybe some other places, like with the SPSS software,
SPSS.
that Chromebook is not a good idea because it doesn't run that software.
If you're doing any major that's going to have a lot of statistics, I would recommend an HP, because even with my laptop, which it's an HP and it's decently powerful, it struggles with SPSS. That program takes a lot out of the computers.
Yeah. And there's a lot of resources on the Carthage Library website too, if you want to look more into technology recommendations. But Matt, why don't you finish us out? Tell us the rest of your favorite things about Carthage, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. So I said my professors. I would definitely say the scenery, just like being able to walk around. I take what my friends call stress walks because they always see me walking. But there's a lot of little paths you could take around the school that you could just walk through, and you can walk for hours if you really need to. Just listen to music, listen to a book or a podcast, anything, and you'll have just a huge amount of relaxation there. Yeah. And lastly, I would definitely say just the overall community, because you can leave your dorm door open and people will walk by, they'll say hi to you, and you can make a lot of friends just like that, leaving your dorm door open.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Halloween, people put stuff outside their dorms in little buckets so you can go trick-or-treating. Like
there's like a haunted house in one of the dorms. Like, and it's great. That's, yeah.
Or people have like chalkboards or whiteboards on their door, and you can put like little quizzes, like which one do you like more, and people like tally it.
And write on them if you see someone's door.
No, literally, I love the community at Carthage. Everybody is so welcoming. Like everybody wants to be everybody's friend, basically. Everybody needs friends.
Well, thank you so much to our panelists. I will send out, as long as it's okay with them all, their emails. So then if you have any additional questions for the three of them, you can ask, but you may or may not have one of these wonderful students as your mentors. I think everyone signed up for the mentoring program who tuned in today. So if you have more questions for me, again, I'm Anna Thompson. I'm a student success advisor, and I coordinate the First in the Family and the First Gen Student Mentoring Program. And so you've been getting lots of emails from me from the First in the Family email account. So just feel free to email that back or call me through my contact info if there's anything that comes up. But we'll say goodbye to our panelists. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to hang out just in case there's any last questions. But thank you so much for all your words of wisdom and thoughts today. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. No, welcome.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you
Run
guys.
All right. Any last questions? Just feel free to let me know. Again, you can use the First in the Family email or contact me through my phone number that you have from that as well. And there's my number if you need anything. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.